right, Mark Engberg is back with us. We're going to talk season 3 finale of The Walking Dead. Their first podcast, their mid-season podcast was so popular, so back by popular demand. Mr. Engberg, this is getting the season finale is getting a polarizing reaction from the fanboys and the bloggers. What was your opinion of it?
Loved it. That was it was the perfect culmination of the entire series. That it was energetic. It was exactly what we wanted. We have been waiting for the war between the governor and Rick to finally culminate in bloodshed, and we got it.
But that was the argument on the bloggers. The bloggers hated the episode because they didn't get the bloodshed they wanted to, and the governor survived.
Yeah, but that just sets up more of the storyline for season 4. I mean, yeah, we all knew that people were going down and people were going to be cut down at the end of season 4, but the governor is such an evasive and enigmatic character that I think it would have been a mistake to get rid of him only through one season. I mean, fans of the comic book can testify that the governor is around for much longer, and that you know, it's just when you have somebody who's that evil and that much like a Hitler kind of a character, because he's all about power. You know, he's completely lost all sensible control of his emotions and his grasp of humanity. So I think it's very exciting. I'm glad they kept him alive because I would like to see more of him.
I think what they're because it's getting mostly a negative reaction despite the gigantic ratings, is because people wanted that kind of like setup. We talked about the mid-season about this mano to mano kind of like, you know, like comic book-esque kind of like matchup between him and Rick, I guess, and then it kind of had a very like melancholy, like peaceful ending to the episode, I guess, the season, I guess. Yeah, well, the death of Andra definitely brought up the melancholy, but I thought that whole subplot that was brilliant. In terms of, I can't imagine anything worse than it was the one friend she had in Woodbury. She was the scientist. Was the one person that we saw her talk with, besides the governor and Michonne, obviously, in Woodbury, and that's the one that the governor kills and makes her, and you know, not only kills her one friend, but sticks her in the room and for him to reanimate and devour her too. So I guess season 3 is about, like, it's almost about communication and love. Like, it's about, in a sense, it's like the governor goes mad because he doesn't express his feelings to anybody. Like, he keeps it all inside and he ends up going mad. And then Rick kind of, like, is going mad, and then he kind of, like, turns around because he finally communicates to, and, you know, with that great episode with who was the character from the first pilot, right? That a great episode where he runs into the guy from the pilot finally, and then Morgan, he sees himself in Morgan, and then he goes, okay, I gotta turn myself around here, and then he becomes the peaceful one, and then as the governor is getting worse and worse, and he's becoming a madman. That's my opinion, but I'm like the non-fanboy guy. That's what I got out of it. I agree with a lot of that, and that it was that there was a lot about love. But I think it was a lot about a transition. By that I mean that just like any show that has any successful show that involves the arc development of a character, that character has to grow. And I think that that in order for the character to grow, we need to understand that character's emotional attachments to other characters or to the premise or what have you. Sure. That's going a little deep with the show like Walking Dead. No, but I think there's a point. Yeah, I think that we're saying. I think it is going deep. If I think they're onto something. But go ahead. True. But to be more specific in The Walking Dead, and what I mean by transition is that the one thing that The Walking Dead really loves to do is it really loves to keep you guessing on who's going to live and who's going to die. Yeah. And normally, like a show like The Sopranos, the only person that you're pretty sure is going to live is Tony Soprano. Yeah. And I think that The Walking Dead is trying to avoid that, and that they're trying to suggest that, look, Rick is fair game just like everybody else. We'll go ahead and we'll kill Lori. We'll kill Shane. We'll kill, well, we have no problem with killing we'll kill Andrea, which they did. They killed, we'll kill Andrea. The second lead, basically, of the show, yeah.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder, watching now that Carl is becoming more adept at decision making. Carl was the only one who really made sense in that episode to me. As soon as he gets stung by Rick's lecture on why did you kill that kid when he put his gun down, it's like, look what's happened every time we let somebody get away. And he's right. He's completely...
Yeah, but at the same time, the episode ends with him, Rick kind of coming full circle and like bringing those people into his world, right? Because he doesn't trust anybody. Like this is my notes. It's like when I watched the episode, I was writing it down while watching it. It's like basically the theme of the episode is that you can't do that. For me, it's like you can't do this alone. And you need to talk, you need to express yourself, you need to bond with others, and that goes back to the episode before with the two brothers, where basically Merle gives, like, basically he concedes that his brother has a new family, so Merle can't be along with that family. So basically Merle gives up his life for his brother, and it's because his brother's already gone into a new family, and that's the only way you can survive. So. And even with Andrea, so as soon as Andrea finds her way, basically, I'm going to go really deep here, because as soon as Andrea finds her way, she dies. And that's kind of like what life's all about. Like, as soon as you figure it out, you're dead, I guess, in a sense, right? And then, but Carl, just one last point, and you can rebuttal. But Carl is basically, he's killing in cold blood. Like, he basically is becoming the governor in a sense, where he's not expressing himself like he's a kid, and like he's basically going in the governor's kind of direction. That's why the governor's mad, because the governor's just leading, and we got to know him in season 3, where he basically let all his emotions inside of himself. He didn't express his emotions to anybody, and that's why he's mad. That's my 2 cents.
I think that's partially why he's mad.
Yeah.
I think the governor is basically your textbook definition of a control freak. The very fact that he just goes by governor.
Sure.
Still thinking that there's some kind of politics existing in this apocalyptic world of zombies is just, Rick makes a great joke at laughing at that when he says his name, the governor. And you're kind of like thinking, well, Rick, man, you still think you're a sheriff. But
at the same time, the episode before, the Merle episode, he basically conceded that. He said, we're a community now, it's socialism now. Right? Like, it's not about the governorship. It's like we're all kind of in. Even in the last episode, he was like saying, okay, this is what my opinion is. What's your guys' opinion? It became more of like a community than basically a dictatorship, I guess.
Right, and I think Rick basically was taught a very expensive lesson, or a very humanistic lesson this season, in terms of you can either create a community or you can destroy it.
Yeah.
And now he's seen that the governor, he saw the bloodshed the governor committed on his own people, kind of realized, and here we go deep again, kind of realized, wow, this guy has completely lost his mind, and is now just going to mow down his own people because he's that far gone.
Yeah.
And he kind of has to compare himself, like, okay, well, this has to do with, am I going to be a traitor to my own people? Am I going to hand over Michonne just to keep war in balance? And then I think Rick kind of the symbology of them bringing in the children, all the innocents from Woodbury, is testament that Rick is all about building. He wants community. Again, he kind of lost that. He kind of lost his grasp on the importance of community, and as we saw by keeping people out of the prison and expelling Tyrese and Sasha out of the prison, that when they got kicked out, I think that was Rick will always kind of consider that a mistake. But something that you mentioned that I wanted to touch on, I want to jump on this before I forget, was that you had mentioned that that Andrea, when she finally finds her way, that's when her character finally dies.
Yeah.
What do you define as her final discovery?
Well, she's alone.
She has many.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She's basically season 2 in a lot of ways was about like everybody kind of like finding being their individuals within a community, and she leaves the group because she's an individual, and in the end she kind of realizes that her sister died and then other people died along the way, that basically what life is about, and that's the theme of season 3 in a lot of ways, is about community. Like basically season 1's about hope, season 2's about redemption. It's just my 2 cents. This is like, I'm sure it could be different. Season 3's about community and what you said yourself about building, about not tearing down, about building up. And basically she realizes that in the end is that she tries to save this thing because at the end she understands that it was about her relationship with who's the black girl? I can't keep forgetting her name. Sorry, yeah, she basically, her relationship with her new sister, so to speak, quasi, is what life's about. And then of course she dies as soon as she kind of figures it all out.
Right. And can you just, the perspective that I would, the character perspective that I would be the most confused of, can you imagine if you were Michonne?
Yeah.
Just like who do I trust? who is not going to either kill me or betray me?
But at the same time, I talked about it before the mid, like she was underwritten. That character was a little bit underwritten, so you really don't know her that well.
Right, and that's a good thing.
Is that a good thing?
That's the best part about Boba Fett. The less you know about that guy, the better.
But yeah, Boba Fett, which is like what he was in the movie for like a combined 5 minutes in the trilogy.
Yeah, in the original trilogy, and it was a brilliant character, and they should have just left it alone, and then they gave him a childhood. How stupid!
Well, they're going to give him his own origin story probably as the Star Wars machine grows, right?
Yeah.
The Boba Fett origin story, how he became what was he, a bounty hunter?
The bounty hunter, but then they wrote him as a clone project.
And the thing
was kind of an interesting idea. I'm glad that they at least had something that was better than. But I liked it better how Lucas originally imagined him, which I think was just a scumbag who was really good. Clint Eastwood in a spacesuit. I think that's what Boba Fett was supposed to have been.
All right, so to go back, let's finish it. So basically, first of all, I know we've done this the day later because you had to watch it with your wife. Does, as a female, this is a very male-driven kind of show. Does your wife love the show? What's the female perspective? What does she see in the show?
It's amazing what The Walking Dead has done with their own the very cherished 18 to 49 demographic.
Yeah.
You find out the finale scored 12.4 million watched, which just shattered all kinds of records, including its own. I think the last season had something like 9 million watched the season 2 finale, which just shows improvement. It just shows that more and more people people. I remember that the first time I ever watched The Walking Dead, my wife went out of town, and just for something to do, I bought the first season on DVD on Blu-ray. And saw it, I watched it privately because I didn't think that she would have any interest in it. She likes horror movies, kind of, but not as much as I do. She's not a total nerd like me.
Yeah.
And I said to her after I watched the first, I think it was 6 episodes, I can't remember how many, but I said, this is very, very good, and you'd be wise to check this out because I think everybody's going to start before you know it. And the show was already a hit because the first season was already out on DVD, and then the second season came out, and then now the third season. I mean, it's every time I see one of those like a head splatter, I'm amazed at how far we've come and what can be broadcast in prime time.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story in terms of what they can get away with on TV.
But what is she like in it, though? What is specifically? What does she like about the show?
Just good writing, interesting characters. That they're always going for. It's not just a George Romero zombie, chasing you around in circles. There's actually keen development subplots, things that were unpredictable. For example, let's talk about the death of Axel. Axel was that really shady-looking prison guy. Remember the one?
Yeah.
The guy with the beard, the little cheesy beard. You were always wondering what that guy was up to because he always seemed to be lying. He said that he was incarcerated for something really minor.
Yeah.
But you kind of always suspected he was lying, and you were thinking, is he going to is he going to rape somebody? Is he going to kill somebody? Is he going to take over? You have the whole zombie
storyline. Is he going to get bitten? Is he going to turn into a zombie? What's going to happen? And they completely pulled the rug out from under us. He got hit by a complete he got complete by a bullet, by a stray bullet, or named a bullet rather. That was it. That's all there was to it.
Well, he was a guy who just wanted to get. It seemed like he was just a guy who just wanted to get laid, so he was just making shit up to get laid. That seemed to be
what he was up to. It was, he was too nice to be believable as an inmate. So you were always wondering. But my wife loves the uncanny, unpredictable of it.
Okay.
Nature of it.
And it's got that little bit of a soap opera kind of like storyline, I guess, right?
I'm sorry, the what?
The soap opera kind of like it's episodic. It's like, you know what I mean? There's like what's going to happen next. Yeah. Like they always leave you on a cliffhanger kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I think I think the reason why the bloggers are so upset about it is because they have to exist on a cliffhanger note of it, and I think that people get upset. People, when people are upset about the season finale or about the cliffhanger aspect of it, it probably means that it's working.
Yeah.
It means that they want more, and that they're not ready for a season of summer reruns.
Yeah. But it's like it goes with those kind of shows, right? Like 24, it always ended on a kind of cliffhanger, right? So it
right.
Jack took care of business, and then all of a sudden, 2 minutes before the season's over, something new happens, and all of a sudden you're in a new kind of like situation, and all of a sudden you got to wait for the year, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking for. But they're mostly upset about two things. They're upset that Andrea died because she's supposedly in the comics she's around for a lot longer, and the governor didn't die. And basically he was supposed to die. That's the two things they're upset about.
Yeah, and I think that probably the fans of the comic book series, Kirkman's comic book series, like all comic book fans, they get upset whenever anything messes with the format.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it's going to be. And it's ironic because it's like they're making this so that you will be surprised and for your own sake of entertainment. And they're just gonna have to suck it up and keep watching until the show starts to suck.
All right, so we got a new showrunner now, so that they're gonna have. I was mentioning it in the review that they're gonna have the third showrunner in 4 years. I can't remember any other show where they've had 3 showrunners in such a short time, and it's a hugely successful show, right?
I can only imagine how difficult it is to work with such a for such a successful cable show. In terms of just budget cuts, executive meddling. I think that the official word on Mazzara stepping down was that they called it a difference of opinion about where the show will go.
Yeah. But the difference between this show and, like, say, Matthew Weiner steps down from Mad Men. Mad Men ceases to exist. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy, he's the creator of the show. Whereas the Walking Dead is a blueprint of a comic book, right? So basically, they're just going off the blueprint of the comic book. So a showrunner is not as valuable as, say, like other shows, I guess, right?
Probably not the showrunner, but there would be big trouble if Kirkman walked away from it.
Yeah.
Primarily he can't because he's the comic book creator, so he can't. So if Kirkman finally said I don't want to do the show anymore, and they said, well, we bought it, so we're going to do it anyway, then I think there would be real concern. But right now, they've gone through so many showrunners, and the show has just remained on top. I don't think anyone's too worried about it. I'm not.
So where's season 4 going? Where are we going with season 4?
I'm thinking that we're probably going to. I'm going to see that we're going to see much more leadership coming from Carl. I think that they're it almost seems like they're grooming Carl up and trying to make him handsome by growing his hair out and giving him kind of, I don't know, that just kind of look the play on. And I think that probably trying to primp him up. And so what I'm guessing is that maybe someday Rick may not be around, and then Carl would take over. And then we're gonna have a new kind of a program where we have a young guy who's been through the worst of the worst, leading these people. I think we'll definitely see much more of the governor. I think that there'll be there will be a more of interesting to see him turn into a zombie. I'm kind of now that he's out there and away from so much protection. Now you got to think that now he's out there and he's still large, but he doesn't have that huge community anymore that's protecting him. He shot them all.
Yeah.
So it's almost scarier thinking of a psychopath like that out there running around.
Well, he's got his 2 little disciples still too, right? So.
Yeah, but and they're just only operating out of straight fear. I love that shot of them both just trying to decide, do we get into the truck? What choice do we have?
Yeah.
So let's do it if we don't. If I could, I'd like to talk a moment about a vlogger response to what people have been saying about the Morgan episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode. What did you think of it?
A lot of people criticized that it was kind of irrelevant to the whole.
No, it was the most important episode of the season. It was about Rick understanding himself. Because he saw himself, and he saw where he's gonna. He saw Morgan. He's done. The guy's gone, right? And he saw where he's gonna go. And it was like his gut check. It was his mirror moment, right? Like it was like we all kind of face that in life sometimes, where you see somebody going down the wrong path, and it's like, whoa! If I keep doing this, then I could be that guy, right? I
agree. I'm glad to hear that you're in that you're. Although it would have been probably more entertaining to hear an argument, but that was what I would.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I had thought. That it was that this is a moment of reflection for Rick, and it can teach him something that Morgan has, despite being on his own. He doesn't have his wife anymore. I don't think he has. Is the son? I can't remember. Did the son die?
Yeah, his son died by his wife. His wife is a zombie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that was the great tragedy of it.
Yeah.
This guy's existing on his own by just using his own resources, and so I think that kind of taught Rick a thing or two about using the prison as a tool for survival.
Yeah.
And that which is ultimately how he bested the governor in the season finale. And I think that was very instructive and illustrative, and I loved it. And I was really trying. I just wanted to respond to all the negative comments about that one particular episode. I thought there was a lot of misunderstanding.
Well, we talked about this before. It's like the thing with The Walking Dead is that there's different kinds of audience members. What makes any show really successful is that there's different sets of audience members where I'll use the comic book analogy, where the comic book fans are going to go to see the Avengers, and then you got kids who are going to go see it, and then you got adults who are going to go on dates with their girlfriends to go see it, and people take it in various reasons of seriousness, right? Of course, the fanboy is going to take it the most serious, but with The Walking Dead, it seems like there's people just want to see gore and guts and violence, and they don't want to see the old joke about season 2 being The Talking Dead. They wanted more violence and they wanted less kind of character studies. And I think you and I are in the same vernacular where it's like we kind of like that kind of theme to it, like the kind of message it gives. And it seems like the consensus that even with the finale is that when it has a thematic ending, people don't like that. They want violence. They want to see zombies dead.
They're justified by the apocalyptic violence that they were promised.
Yeah. And that's all they want, right?
They want it, but I think that they're also. I think that they were ultimately satisfied by closure of the. I think a lot of people were tired of of what's Andrea going to do, and what's Merle going to do? Is he finally going to stay with this group? Is he bounce to another community? And I think that there was, as much as I hated seeing the death of Merle, I was glad that they finally made a decision about him. That they couldn't really decide what to do with him, and that they decided it would be kind of out of character for if he was just going to join Rick's group.
It's funny. It's Walking Dead. It's a zombie TV show. But the performance by Morgan, the guy who played Morgan in that episode, and the performance by Merle in episode 15, those were amazing performances by those two actors in those episodes. Yeah. There was a lot going on inside of those performances, and it's just so funny that those are it's a zombie show, and you're getting some really top of the line acting going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very impressive. I was not surprised at all because I've loved I don't know who plays Marcus or who plays Morgan, but I've always liked Michael Rooker's character. If you ever want to see something truly scary, the scariest movie I've ever seen is Henry, The Portrait of the
Ghost. It's number one on the number one horror list. It's your number one worst horror movie. Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. Well, it's not even terrifying, just creepy. Just his personification of Henry Lee Lucas, who may or may not have killed hundreds of women.
Yeah.
Pretty frightening.
Not to mention his frightening performance. Not to mention his frightening performance in Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's right.
and as the first baseman in 8 Men Out too, who started the whole Red Sox.
He's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's all over the place. He's the bad guy, and he's a nemesis in Mallrats. He's Stallone's reconciliation friend and cliffhanger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He is. Yeah.
Just one of those. And it's funny. It's like no matter if he's a good guy, bad guy, somewhere in between, he's always kind of got that little twang to it.
Yeah.
That's very believable to it. And
he's got a darkness to him. There's a darkness to his all of his performances. Like you don't want to get in a fight with that guy. You don't want to like throw punches with that guy. There's like, you know what I mean. He's a dangerous dude.
Yeah, check him out. He's got a blade for a hand.
Yeah, but so season 4. Who's the first main character to die?
Season 4. One other thing I want to that just occurred to me this morning about season 4. They've kind of, if you think about it. Well, okay. So to answer your question, it's first to die on season 4. I've been waiting for Carol to die for a long time.
Okay.
I'm really surprised that she made it. I think I predicted that in our last podcast that she was going to bite it. Let me see.
The old man?
Maggie.
Maggie?
I'm thinking Maggie. Nah, I think Herschel is going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
He's kind of the wise sage.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you mentioned Herschel, because that's the one I thought of was that they've been kind of suggesting that that Carl is going to maybe have a budding romance with his younger daughter, Beth Green. With his younger daughter. Now that Herschel has seen Carl commit the shooting of the unarmed kid, that's really going to change that whole dynamic. That relationship may not happen so whimsically anymore now, because Herschel has seen with his own eyes that this kid's a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very interested in the scene how that leads, or if it leads anywhere.
Yeah, because Carl, like, you know, he's a maturing boy, and like, you know, he needs to get his fuel of the opposite sex, and there's some pickings out there. There's really not much going on, is there?
Teenage happens, zombies or not, you're still gonna.
Yeah, no matter what happens in the apocalypse, you're still gonna have moments of masturbation, even if there's no woman on the planet, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
I've always suspected those.
Yeah.
It's not a horror movie unless there's not some aspect of sex somewhere involved.
All right, so
and that'd be good for the show to read the sexual life into it, because if you think about it, with the exception of Glenn and Maggie,
that's the romance of the show. Yeah.
But that'd be breathe new life, new theme of love, as you were saying that.
Every year there's like the first 2 years there's a love triangle, right? The whole love triangle of Walking Dead, and then basically season 3 is like about Maggie and sorry, what's the kid's name? Maggie and Carl.
Oh, sorry,
Glenn, and then they also had the governor and Andrea, right, with their little fling together.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was weird. I don't know if you can call that love. That was more hooking it.
Yeah, he's always been a weird guy. So, and then you had a little thing going on with Andrea and the nerdy guy before he died. So. Yeah. Unrequited.
Everybody's been trying to get in Andrea's pants, starting with Dale and Shane and she picks the madman like the governor.
Yeah, that's why she died. So she's found her way. All right, so so season 4, the ratings are monstrous. But to finish off what you're saying with the ratings is that you got to remember, like Sunday when that show premiered, it had the season premiere of Games of Thrones. It had the Bible show. It also had they also had Sunday nights huge for the network TVs. Like, yeah, it had a lot of competition going on that Sunday night, and it still drew in monster ratings. So this show's not going away for very soon.
No, unless they, I mean, as long as it's spectacularly shot on 16mm film, you're going to impress the film nerds. They keep the storylines up. You're going to impress the people who want soap operas. If they can just keep the writing up and the characterizations, and they got the winning dynamic, I think, is what kept The Sopranos so invigorating. Is that you just don't know who's going to live and who's going to die.
And don't be surprised if a Walking Dead movie occurs down the line as well.
I'm sure that's probably what's leading to so many dismissals of the showrunners. I'm sure that's been brought up and probably just makes them blow their stacks.
All right, Mark. Walking Dead. We'll talk in season 4, I guess.
Hey, I look forward to our discussion then too.